text editor that does collaboration built in. And even then, it's going to be using some different form of figuring out who you're talking to than, for instance, being able to utilize your AIM buddy list or something of the sort. So we decided that this is really a bad approach, and we're actually making collaboration a system service in the sense that any application on the machine can basically say, you know, I have these collaborative abilities and use the same API that the system exposes to do collaboration. So one example of one follow-up to this is that if I have a certain application and I want to collaborate with the person that's trying to take a picture of me in the front row here, I can, you know, I can invite him using the system to collaborate with me. But what if he doesn't have the application? Well, ideally, what would happen is transparently he would receive the application and his machine would run it and we'd collaborate. But let me say that again. Transparently, he would receive and his machine would run it, and we would collaborate. If this isn't bloody scary, you know, so it's scary. And there are a couple of other sort of interesting things that we're doing, right? One part of having machines be hackable is actually having it not be scary to screw up. And the way that you don't make machines scary to screw up is you make sure that recovery is trivial and isn't any kind of an intimidating process. We can actually restore machines from USB sticks, from a server, or from the mesh network. The networking we're doing is largely mesh-based. 802.11s, it's a new emerging standard. And you know, no one has actually studied what security means when you're dealing with really large meshes. There's some work that came out of the sensor network community, but it's not directly applicable to us. You know, packets will be forwarded almost always by some of your mesh peers. So if you're not some kind of authentication, etc., you really have no guarantees on what's actually happening. So anyway, long story short, this is actually the hardest thing that I've ever worked on, is the security for these machines. And what I want from you guys is to either find me around the conference or mail me at ivan@laptop.org, that's ivan@laptop.org, and tell me, yes, I want to help you try and break these machines. Because very soon now we'll be releasing a series of security specs for the machines, and I want the best and the brightest to look at them and figure out how we can actually break these machines before there's a billion of them out in the field. Thank you. Questions? No questions? Wow, I scared you guys shitless. All right, good. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm the co-author of Lycrawl, which demoed at 3 p.m. over in here, at the other room, Aaron Peterson's talk. I'm just up here to pimp HT, which is a disassembler that I really like and no one knows about. I wish more of you did because it's a wonderful tool. And the projector doesn't want to show the console. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Hey, you guys can see that, right? All right. So the other day, I was trying to open up a command prompt on a machine. There was a security policy defined on the Windows machine that was preventing me from opening it. So I thought to myself, well, why is it not allowing me to run a command prompt? And it turns out that the code to do that is actually in cmd.exe. But I didn't have IDA on the machine. I did have internet access, and so what I did was I went to the HTE site on SourceForge, and I got a copy of it. So I went and opened up command.exe. This is the tool, HTE. It's a single executable. It's about 700K. It runs on Windows, Linux, OS 10. It's a fantastic tool. Lots of good source code in there to steal. And I said to myself, well, there's probably a registry entry somewhere in here that that's being read to figure out what the security policy is. And so I looked around here using a feature the tool has to figure out what functions it calls inside of Windows. And I don't see it now, but another way that you can use this tool to figure out what the program is doing is to go to the disassembly view and tell it to search for, say, the function call that you normally use to do that. And I'm not really remembering the procedure I used to break cmd.exe. But one of the nice things about this tool is that unlike IDA, it's fully read-write. Okay, whereas IDA is a read tool, generally. So if I have a copy of cmd.exe that's writable, and I find the code that's checking the registry, I can change it very quickly without having to use a hex editor. Another feature that this tool has and that I haven't found anywhere else. So I can go in here and say, change this opcode very easily. And it's even smart enough to ask me what version of the opcode I want, because some opcodes in Intel assembly they're ambiguous. So, well, some of the mnemonics are ambiguous. And so I say, I want that version of the opcode, and then I save it. And now CMD is probably going to crash when I find it. So, anyway, I just wanted you to know about this tool because I like it so much, and I wish more people knew about it. The website you can get it at is ht.sf.net. And HTE, it stands for something something editor. And that's Hotel Tango Echo .sourceforge. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name's Nick DiPetrello, and I pretty much wanted to come up here and just give a quick little 5-minute update on CALIA, something that nobody's talked about in any of the keynotes. I think it's really because, you know, basically with all this talk about privacy, encryption, and everything being monitored, well, who here knows what CALIA is? Yeah, okay, who here is a university student? Not as many as I hoped. That's okay, though. I'm sure you'll all want to hear about it anyway. Why am I qualified to even mention it? Well, I happen to work for an Internet 2 Gigapop. You know, we have many, many universities going through our large border routers and this and that, and I have my program blocking my logo, because I probably shouldn't be up here. But anyway, there was a meeting held about 3 months ago at MIT called the MIT Network Security Camp, and there was a large discussion about CALIA. And the basics about CALIA is the FBI just pretty much wants to require universities to allow them to do remote wiretaps. That's the short of it. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think it's TIA. It's a TIA sort of. Like if you have a piece of equipment that's TIA certified in a certain number, I forget what it is, TIA like 5 something something or 4 something something. That's CALIA compliant equipment, and that allows you to do port intercepts. So you can just say, oh, well, this guy's Iranian. I want to go, copy all of his traffic without him knowing, without even the university knowing, perhaps. something that a lot of universities have to deal with because at first it was kind of ambiguous of what being CALIA compliant meant. So maybe, oh, I don't know, maybe it would require that you have to upgrade your entire campus, and for a campus like MIT, for instance, that would cost like $1 billion because Cisco, costs a lot. So imagine having to go through your entire campus, no matter where you are, big school, small school, and having to upgrade all of your switches in all of your dorms to be CALIA compliant. Big problem. But never mind what the university's concerns are. The concerns really should be at the student level. This going along with the lines of the talks that were held earlier today. If you have something to hide, you're a terrorist. Well, obviously that's not the case, but that's kind of the impression you are given today. And as an employee of an Internet 2 ISP and as a student myself, and as somebody who feels strongly about these subjects, if you have something to hide, you shouldn't have to feel like you are a criminal. But in this case, with CALIA coming around the corner, the deadline's approaching. If you're at a university, make sure to follow the advice of Simple Nomad and Corey and encrypt your traffic, and encrypt it all the time, not just some of the time. Because in reality, you won't know when your traffic's being monitored. And it's not necessarily going to be monitored at AT&T. It might be monitored down the hall from your dorm in your closet. And another thing, too, about CALIA, when CALIA was announced, the FCC was kind of testing the waters, I would say. They were basically like, okay, well, this is what we want to do. Okay, we're going to be quiet now. Everybody kind of got a little worried. They all met. They all said, well, what does CALIA compliant mean? And nobody really knows still. Kind of just a big, like nobody knows. I don't even know, and I have to deal with it eventually. But if you are a university student, if you're not a university student, if you work at a university, you know what CALIA is, and you know that CALIA is coming around the corner, and it's just a big mess. So I just wanted to bring CALIA back into the spotlight. It wasn't mentioned before. And question?
And within the whole CSU, they just mandated a couple $1 billion for new switching equipment. We'll be using Cisco. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the firmware for CALIA compliance.
Yeah. Actually, yes. If you like the border routers of certain universities, there's a few universities just upgraded to like SOUP 720s. The SOUP 1440 from Cisco will be CALIA compliant. And now I'm starting to think that many companies like Juniper, Cisco, whatever, are going to just start making CALIA compliant just to sell to people at an absurd rate. I forget what a 720 costs for a university. I think it costs like $25,000. I don't know what a 1440 is going to cost, but just keep it in mind when you're in your dorm and you're browsing for homework, porn, whatever. That's all. Thanks.
Unless someone lost their job over a talk. So I want to thank everyone that had the marbles to come up here and talk for a few minutes. We're really glad that you were able to have a chance to speak your mind for a few seconds. And I think we're going to end this now and get ready for Dan Kaminsky, who is going to be coming up next. I thought he was in the back somewhere, but I'm sure everyone needs a few minutes to take a deep breath before Dan steps up on stage. So we'll be starting here in about another 8 minutes.